So fuck yes, welcome to After the Hype. Your host is always Brian Dressel. With me as always is Jonathan Hardesty.
Word.
Darso.
Hi.
And Emily Blake. Did you just say word?
I got two in.
You're supposed to be telling a story.
Yeah, what happened to the story? Unless like the third sentence is word. I mean, it could be. You're just a shitty writer. That's really the highlight of every week for me now. Yeah.
All I ever do is laugh now.
And I think you say that every time too.
Oh.
This is about the third episode where we've done that.
It's pretty great.
It is great.
Special guest today, we have Zack Edwards here. Hey, Zack.
How's it going?
Hello.
Zack, before we do anything, do you have anything you want to plug? Where people can find you, if they want to find you?
You can find me on Instagram mainly at Hollywood Trash Zack.
I like that name. That's a solid name. Although I feel like you'd have to compete with people in Hollywood for Hollywood trash.
I mean, yes and no. Living on Hollywood Boulevard, I've definitely watched heroin junkies shoot up right in front of me walking down the street.
That sounds like Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah, basically.
There's a half marathon I like to do in Hollywood Boulevard, and in the morning, because it starts at like 5 in the morning, because I want to get out of the way for tourists. It's great because you have all like the homeless and junkies going, "Oh, we're just walking in the street this morning. All right, cool." They all just kind of migrate to the middle of the street, and they're walking with you as you're running down the road. Gotta love Hollywood. It's the best place in the world.
Oh, it is.
Do you guys want to get going on where have you been doing?
Yeah.
Sure. I've been playing South Park: The Fractured Butthole, which I still think the name is better than the game. And the game is very good, but the name is incredible. But in short, if you played Stick of Truth and you enjoyed Stick of Truth, you will like this one. They basically took the comedy that worked in Stick of Truth and added a legitimate like fighting game, which they did not have in their first one. The first one was really kind of half-assed, and this one, like, there's legit mechanics and...
Well, the first one kind of got by on its kind of gimmick and its novelty of, you're in South Park, you were actually playing South Park.
Yeah, and this one realized that they can't do that twice in a row.
Right.
And they do a great job. Like, it's surprise. Like, they really nail like the whole like, if you want to swap out armor, like if you want your character to look one way, a lot of times in like RPGs you have to change armor, and then the look of the character changes. You get kind of annoyed. Costumes and armor are completely separate.
See, I've been asking for that for all the other RPGs for a long time because I hate how the good armor looks every time.
Yeah, it always looks kind of cheesy and stupid. This one, you can make your character look however the fuck you want, and it has no impact.
Like, if you don't want to die right away in Fallout 4, you have to look like a yellow marshmallow.
The
pink marshmallow, and you look ugly.
Yeah.
I watched Brian play a little bit last night. The thing that I enjoyed the most was when you got interviewed by the counselor, and you got to choose your gender and your sexual preference.
Yes.
And it had all of these preferences in there. I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, they were all
legitimate, like, sexual things, and I'm like, what is that?
It was any and all
We were
sexual preference.
Wikipediaing it. And then, depending on what you chose, the next villain you fought had to do with who hates you.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, like, the end of the thing is like, oh, so you are a girl who is, I think I picked, like...
You're non-binary, or you're attracted to non-binary.
Yeah, I'm attracted to non-binary. And at the end of the thing, like, these rednecks jump out of a truck like, hey, look, that's a girl who's cisgendered and is only attracted to non-binary people. Let's kick her ass!
Nice.
It's surprisingly well done. Like,
I love the satire of South Park so much.
yeah. So if you've enjoyed it in the past, you will enjoy this one. It does have the same problem that South Park often does, which is they kind of have a few jokes that go a little too far, like, unmotivated. And it's like, you could have done a little better there, but the good outweighs the bad, and I think it's incredible. That's it for me.
I'll go next. I started watching the show Penny Dreadful, which they have episodes on Netflix now, but it's a Showtime show. And I've heard of it and wanted to watch it for a while, just haven't wanted to go by, Showtime. And I'm 3 episodes in, and I really like it.
I've only watched the pilot, and the pilot is incredible.
It is. It's great. And I didn't read anything about this going into it, so I didn't know anything about it. And to see that it's all those, basically the Universal monsters in some way, shape, or form was really cool. And the whole Frankenstein thing is, I think, amazing in this.
Yeah, that reveal at the end of the pilot, I didn't know it was coming. I was like,
oh,
shit!
Yeah, I know. And then I'm at I don't want to spoil it for you, but I'm at a point where another reveal happened along those lines. I'm like, oh, God. And I was like, I'm too tired to watch more, but I must.
Yeah.
So I'm really liking it. And just the acting is so great, and the cinematography is great, and the design is wonderful.
Eva Green is fucking
She's always
amazing in that. Yeah,
she gets, like, there's like a seance possession scene that she just
is insane.
I was scared
Yeah.
watching it because she does such a great job with it. And even Timothy Dalton playing off of her, those two together in that scene, just, it was so powerful.
I love Timothy Dalton.
He's great.
It's so good. Yeah. And then, I didn't realize Josh Hartnett was in there. And then Billy Piper.
Yes. Yes. Oh, there's
Isn't Billie Piper the Bride of Frankenstein or something like that?
well.
Eventually, maybe.
Yeah, eventually that's sort of her plot, but like she has this one amazing scene that I'm sure you haven't gotten to yet, where it's just like the most beautifully feminist, but kind of
Okay.
it's amazing. There's a speech she gives where you're just like, oh my god. And I watched it like 3 times in a row. I was just like, I need to see her do that again. It was so great.
Now the only question I have is, I think there's 3 seasons on there. Is the show over? Does it end, or am I going to be just like
It's
suddenly there's no more episodes and I'm going to be sad that
No,
there's
they
no
got
more?
an ending.
They got an ending.
That's
Sweet.
good.
Okay, cool.
They were given warning they were being canceled. They did want to go longer, from what I understand, from what I was reading, but they were given enough warning that they could end their arc.
Then I'm very certain to stick with it.
Yeah.
If things don't have an ending, I tend to just kind of bounce earlier.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to get too invested. I don't want to be hurt.
Yeah.
Chewie, what about you?
To go with the goth and glamour again, this morning while we were cleaning, I decided to turn on Addams Family Values, which I have not rewatched in a while. And God, I love that movie. It's like I like squealed with glee because I forgot about the mustache on the baby when they laid it down. I was just like, it's such a cute baby.
That movie is really just a joke a second. Like, you can just rewatch it for days. It's
The rant he has when he goes to the police station to try to like get help for his brother, and they just talk about all these beautiful things that all normal people would love, and he's just like horrified. I would like them to continue Addams Family, but I also know in today's culture, a lot of things that they put in that movie probably wouldn't be put in anymore because it's not very PC. So it probably should just stay where it was so it stays really good.
good call. Yeah. Glad you made that decision for all of us.
Yeah, I know. I just love the Addams Family, and I don't think that type of humor would really stick to people anymore.
Like I said, I saw the Broadway show, and it was horrendous. So it does not.
Did they make it more PC on the Broadway?
Oh yeah, way more. The Fester was in love with the moon. He has an entire love song with the moon, and it sounds like it could be funny, but it's long and boring and awful. And I'm so glad that show died. Sorry.
Damn.
Yeah, it was.
Sorry, Nathan
I
Lane.
was so mad, just sitting in the audience. Like my sister and I and my dad went. We're just like, this is fucking trash.
Well, okay.
But at least
I don't
we got
want
to
the
go see
Addams
a
Family
play.
to end
Great,
on that
like,
note. Maybe we
review
could
in
get
the-
something good out of it.
View in the newspaper. This
Yeah.
is fucking trash. Brian Presnell.
That's why I should not be a writer.
I started making costumes for people as a side hustle, which I really like. And so with Halloween on the way, I've been kind of stuck in front of my sewing machine. So I've been doing a deep dive into fashion history while I sew. And so I found this YouTube channel called The Ultimate Fashion History. And it's basically this nice British lady. And I think she's a fashion history teacher at a school. And so she put all of her lessons in PowerPoint presentations on YouTube. And she's highly entertaining. And like she'll say things like, and to show how rich you were, you just put a lot of shit on your dress, like bows and flowers, and it looks stupid. And that's great because like it's awesome. And but I've been going through the history of fashion, pretty much starting from the beginning, watching all her PowerPoints, and people are insane. Like watching, she has this one thing she says all over and over again, which is fashion is not an island, it's a response. So as she talks about why a certain trend started, it's always 100% of the time a result of some kind of political or cultural event. And so when she points out things like, or like my favorite little fact is that there was a habit in the Rococo period, which is right before the French Revolution. There was a habit that French people had of buying these fancy embroidered gowns and coats that would be embroidered in actual gold thread. And they would wear them a couple of times, and then they decide they didn't want to wear them anymore, and so they had drizzling kits, and they would all sit around together at night when they didn't have anything else to do, and they would just pick the gold embroidery out of their clothing and throw it away. I wonder why people killed them. So that's like, I'll be sitting there.
When you said drizzling, I thought they were going to melt down the
No,
gold.
they would it's basically they were picking the stitches out. Just
And
for
not
funsies,
saving it.
And not saving
See, I was
it.
going to like the bakery route.
I
where you're
mean-
pouring glaze on the dress. I'm like, why would you do that?
Theoretically,
Imagine how many circuit boards we could have made out of all that gold.
well, theoretically, they were going to like sell it
We,
back.
we have a
but-
weird sense of we have a weird swath of opinions here on
yeah,
this.
What the hell just happened?
Well, I just
I just
know
got a
that
great picture of
gold
all of us.
Thread, like they make circuit boards have gold thread in them,
Yeah.
don't they?
I don't know.
Here I'm thinking of donuts.
John's talking about dough, and you're talking about circuit boards while she's talking about fashion. This is the weirdest conversation in a while. I almost feel like we should just pull the ripcord. Unless you have anything else you want to say.
Just really cool. It's a really cool series, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah,
I go down similar rabbit holes sometimes with fashion, but I enjoy reading about how fashion used to kill women all the time.
Yes.
Like when they used to wear ribbons in their hair, and then that one girl was caught on fire at a party and no one could put her out.
Fun. Hey, Zach, where have you been doing?
Like you, I've been playing a lot of video games.
Nice.
But I'm stuck about 10 years in the past playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Okay.
That was a solid game.
The other one that's been pissing me off is Resident Evil Raccoon City. I'm at the point where I'm trying to beat the Nemesis, though, and I just cannot seem to do that, so I generally cuss under my breath, or you'll hear me from screaming across the house, like, oh,
is that what I heard?
This, I give up.
A few nights ago.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, don't you have a raccoon? Is that a tattoo for Resident Evil there?
Yep, I've got the umbrella.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
So after I get pissed off at the games, I'll go out to the garage, and I've been working on Halloween decorations.
Oh, very exciting.
Yeah.
At least you do something good with your rage. Brian just throws a controller.
I do not throw controllers anymore. I throw pillows.
I shamed you a lot, so
Yeah, because I don't want to buy new controllers.
Well, that's my thing, is I used to be world ranked for Halo.
Oh, okay.
But I got so bad at that when people would kill me, I'd snap my controllers in half.
Jesus.
And
It's very rage inspiring.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you know the person you're playing against is brand new, and they get like a pity kill on you.
and they're probably
Yeah,
12
I
and
could
talking
feel that
shit.
rage. Yeah.
Rage rising.
Oh, yeah, they're 12, and they're like, you're just like, what the fuck? And they're like, your mom.
That is, yep. That is.
Your mom.
That is the Halo community, and it's very slowly and surely becoming the Destiny
That's
community.
the most clean insult in Halo, I think.
Nah, that was about it. If you're playing back with Halo, Halo 2, Halo 3, that was the time.
Just
They're
your
very
mom.
just like, your mom sucks. Ha ha, teabag, bye.
So it's
Teabag, stick grenade, bye.
oh boys.
Yeah, they suck. But they're very good at Halo.
But apparently so does everyone's mom.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll move into today's episode, which is the final of guest choice for our horror month. And this week, Zach picked...
What We Do in the Shadows.
It was his second pick after I asked him to change his, because we've been saying what it was going to be this whole month. And then at the end of the month, we have Devil's Rejects. And then I had to message him, I've watched too much death this month. Would you please pick another one? And he was very kind and picked a movie that I've wanted to cover on the show for a long time. So it really worked out.
Thank you.
Yay!
It's a fun movie to watch.
It is. It's a very enjoyable movie. Before we get too far into it, though, we have to do a breakdown. Zach, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So what we do in the shadows in 30 seconds. Here we go. Go, 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 go!
All right, so this is every style of Dracula meets Animal House all in one. It's a bunch of different vampires put into essentially a modern-day frat house. They're dealing with not only their old world problems, but now the new world problems as well. It's street gang battles, Bloods versus Crips, vampires versus werewolves, new trick tactics using spaghetti to lure in victims, and you see Nosferatu go up in flames, and that's about the movie.
Yeah. It was very well done. It's concise, to the point. I've got nothing.
Yeah. No, it worked.
Perfect. Oh, do we have a judgment over there?
No,
it sounded very like a judgmental
No, it's fine. I just hummed.
You just hummed.
I just hummed.
Perfect.
And now I'm...
And now you're just sipping loudly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We know how you really feel.
We all remember the fun conversations we used to have at the lunch table. Sometimes they were pretty deep.
Where there's a lot of things we learned about how to use the internet safely, how to use our voice intelligently. These were not lessons that we were ever taught as kids.
And most times they really weren't.
I could forgive a woman for thinking a pinky up the butt was something you might want. And you can correct that and you can still have a good night. Cocks and asses are a fact of life. Really?
Me and Matt are both B cups. I wouldn't be surprised.
Dude, I wasn't comparing titty size, okay?
I wouldn't be surprised if anyone thought we were the same guy.
This is No But Seriously. You can find us on Google Play and iTunes.
Okay, so that was a great breakdown, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly how that worked. That's how timing works. Okay, so the place I want to start with this movie, I just looked it up in our little break there. The budget, because I think it's fascinating. This movie was made for $1.6 million.
Impressive.
I think the fact that it was in New Zealand helped with that.
Well, that, and I'm sure Jemaine charged nothing. because he's probably the biggest name in it, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, he works for Disney. Like, he does a ton of stuff. I think he'd probably be the biggest name. But it was still... And he got, like, directing credit and writing credit. Oh, did he get directing credit? I don't remember.
He, on IMDb, it says co-direct.
Okay, yeah. So, like, he clearly had a lot to do with this, and I'm sure he just took points. Because I don't think... If they had to pay him his normal salary, I think it would probably be the budget of the movie.
But also, New Zealand has a lot of really good, like the government contributes to the film.
They still have like that's still one of the countries that does that. But still, like for 1.6 million, like that's impressive. Like it does not look like a movie that had a 1.6 million dollar budget. Like
no.
The most expensive thing in it was the room that spins.
Yeah,
for the fight.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
that. Yeah.
And they probably just rented that. I'd bet.
Yeah.
You can rent it.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, like, did they have to come? Do they have one of those in New Zealand? Did they have to build one? Because then it gets more and more crazy. But
They have a decent amount of film shooting in New Zealand at all times.
no, that's true. That's true.
If it's not like Lord of the Rings or Power Rangers, there's other things happening. So I'm sure it was a rental at some studio.
I mean, well, Power Rangers is always shooting there.
Yeah.
So yeah, they constantly have something filming. But yeah, I mean, it was still like that's the one part of the movie that really shows money. But otherwise, I mean,
That and the werewolf costumes, they had multiples of those. Things aren't cheap.
no, that's true. But it really makes me wonder how much they got as favors. Because it feels like a movie that would have had to. Because it doesn't look cheap. Like
No.
and 1.6 million is still a lot of money, but especially like an indie filmmaker. But it doesn't look like an indie film.
But you can kind of see, like on Netflix and other like direct-to-video, like what 1.whatever million gets you, and oftentimes it does look a little cheap in parts.
Yeah.
You can kind of see the seams a bit.
But shooting documentary style helped a lot because
Yeah.
you don't have
yeah.
to worry about dollies and laying down tracks. You just fucking run around with your camera. You're done.
Yeah, no, that definitely helps a shitload. But they still had things like flying rigs and
Yeah.
the spinning room
They had
and
special
costumes. And,
effects.
yeah, special effects. They turned Jemaine into a cat.
And
Oh yeah, that was.
don't forget Bat Fight.
Bat fight.
Don't take my quote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It wasn't my quote, but it's still just the him yelling bat fight is one of the most enjoyable things in the entire world. But yeah, I mean, there's really not much else to say. But they did for the amount of money they had, they made it look spectacular. And it's not even like for the amount of money. Like they could have had more, and I don't imagine it would look too much different.
Well, but that's the thing too. Sometimes on the higher budget movies, they like to almost showboat how much money they have, which in a way kind of takes away from the overall picture. So I think they found the good balance of what they were given and just made the most of it rather than going over the top.
That's exactly how Brian and I actually feel about John Wick 2.
Yeah.
John Wick 1, great. John Wick 2, oh, God. Pull it back, guys.
Yeah. I think it was better restrained. But I mean, that's what I'm afraid of, like Deadpool 2. Like, because Deadpool had such a strict budget, and now Deadpool 2, like Fox realizes how much money they can make at it. They're going to throw as much money as possible. And that always makes me a little worried. But this one, like, if they do make Werewolves, which is a great fucking title, if they do make that, like, I don't think this guy is the type of guy who would, like, showboat, as you say, budget. I don't think that's his style. I mean, granted, Thor looks like a lot of showboating money, but that's Marvel, so it's a little different.
Yeah,
And that strikes me
Marvel's very showboaty.
that he'd be using the Marvel thing to showboat a little bit, and then
Yeah.
for his own thing, scaling it back.
As long as Rhys Darby is in it, I don't think you can go wrong.
I mean, Rhys Darby can be in every movie for all
Yes.
time, in my opinion, and he makes everything better.
Yes, but I love that he's always Murray. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
There's no way for him to not be Murray. We're werewolves, not swearwolves, guys.
Just him talking cracks me up, which is almost an insult to him, but not really, because that's his livelihood. So.
He knows. Yeah,
He's got a great accent.
Let's talk a little bit about characters. Which one do you want to start with?
I love how sexy they all were. Because, you know, once
Were
you're when you're a vampire, you're
they're
automatically sexy.
I like that they all think that they're sexy.
Yeah.
I
like
that
that.
scene of them getting dressed was so great.
My God, just them trying to draw out what everybody looks like. Like, it's just...
Well, there's moments like that where it's like, well, you know, you kind of imagine scenarios, like funny scenarios, like, okay, if they don't have mirrors, what are they going to do? Look at each other and tell it, like, they'll draw each other, right? You think about those things, and as this movie does those, I'm just like cackling and laughing.
And then when Stu introduces them to selfies, and they're like, "What?"
That's one thing with this movie that I was a little odd on. I'm like, from what I remember in other vampire lore, if you don't have a reflection, you also don't get captured in photography.
But the
right?
joke is worth it.
Yeah.
Like if you
Yeah.
just break that rule, it was for a joke, and it was really
yeah.
funny watching Jemaine just like.
and he takes to it.
sexy
He really
selfies.
takes to
Yeah.
it. That shot where he's on the bed with the hair kind of splayed.
I I mean, that was a good selfie, actually. He looked quite lustrous in that moment, with the hair perfectly on his one eyeball.
Yeah.
But no, I like the way that what's his name? The main character. I keep forgetting his name.
Not Vigo.
Viago?
Viago. Yeah, I like the way that he's just like he's excited about everything. Like it brings like this kind of joy to the movie that I don't think would work otherwise. But like, he's just so like prim and proper and just polite and nice. But he has to murder people.
He was a dandy, right?
He was a dandy, and I like that he has the thing of like you can put down towels and newspapers when you kill people. We're vampires. We don't do that.
Well, and I love
Some
too how
vampires
he gives
do.
like the most awkward looks to the camera.
Oh, yeah.
All this phrasing.
Like they're embarrassing. I know. Sorry about that.
Well, just and just his whole setup and payoff for those jokes where he's setting like the papers down for his guest, and it's like, oh, I got a vein.
Yeah.
He's trying to deal with it.
When he's trying to catch the blood,
like, it's like, so I goofed.
like he's the most polite murderer.
He has the whole mentality of it's their last night alive, so they should enjoy it. It's
With Paschetti.
yeah, Paschetti.
Paschetti was great.
So the other guy that I think is beyond Jemaine, who I love Jemaine, but I'm terrible with their names.
Deacon?
Deacon. I love Deacon's character. Like he is such a great like counter to everybody else in there. Because like, you can tell that he loves his roommates, he wants to be with his roommates, but he also kind of hates them, and like it has this like kind of great playing where like you can see like everything he does, he's annoyed that they're there, but he'd be depressed if they weren't.
It's like, well, yeah, they watch him do the sexy dance.
Yeah.
Like who would watch him do a sexy dance if they?
It's
weren't
an erotic
here?
dance.
Right.
It's my erotic dance.
But I love the way that he kind of deals with like he just gets really mad at everyone all the time, and it's like he's a great actor for just getting pissed off. Like he plays it really well. And
the movie shows a real appreciation for his role. They give him, I think, a really great moment between him and Nick, is it? Mm-hmm. After, again, I'm also bad with names, the friend, the red-faced friend. Stu is mauled apart. Just that talk on the grass.
Yeah.
It's like, he died very painfully and in glory, and it was awful, and there was lots of pain and suffering, and I hope I made you feel better. You know, like, it's like that moment, it's like, I feel like that movie, like, it was crucial that moment existed for a character like him.
Yeah, no, totally.
Because he could just be like the antagonistic guy, and then the jokes wouldn't land from him so much.
But you can tell that he actually cares in a weird, fucked up vampire sort of way.
I think my favorite moment is such a throwaway moment that they easily could have cut out of the film. But when he's the bat and he flies into the power line and then just like falls down and he's like, oh, what happened? Oh. It's such a tiny little moment. I don't know. It's just so weird, but I laugh so hard at it. I love too that when he turns back into a human, he's still like fully clothed and wearing that weird fur thing.
But I mean, that's kind of what this movie does so well. If you just kind of spell it out, the story's kind of bland. There's not really a lot there. It's just kind of a group of vampires who live together. Mm-hmm. But it's all about the little moments, like those things like that, like the little throwaway lines that I don't want to ruin for anybody because there's a lot of them. But it just. And with characters like Deacon and with everybody, it just kind of it ties all these like would be throwaway moments into something that like would be less without them. Like if you just had the story as it is, it's kind of meh. But the world is why you watch it.
It also helps it feel more like a documentary because you have these little throwaway moments that like the camera captured and just threw in there.
Yeah.
What stands out for you, Zach? You're a little quiet so far.
As far as Deacon goes, I love how he's kind of the badass of the crew, but at the same time, he cares, but makes everything about him. You know, in one of the opening scenes, Viago comes down and he's like, guys, we need to have a flat meeting. And first of all, Peter doesn't show up.
They don't really seem to want Peter to show up.
No, because
they're all kind of afraid of him.
Yeah, I would be too. Did you see those gnarled teeth? But no, I mean,
he murdered them.
Well, yeah. But when Viago starts the meeting, he goes, you know, I like all of you guys. You're cool, but you're not doing your flat chores. And Deacon just goes, well, it's nice to know that I'm cool.
That's not really the point.
His spinny wheel was so cute on the wall.
yeah.
Like he colored it in and everything.
Well, it was just like a weird love story too. He's like, yeah, I was searching through this castle and something swooped through the air and got me and bit me and killed me. And it was Peter. And we're still friends all these years down the line.
And Peter's just sitting there.
I kind of wish they'd done more with Peter. Like it's
It didn't seem like he could talk, so it really limits you.
Well, I mean, think about it. He is supposed to be the Nosferatu character. He was old as hell.
8,000 years, it says.
Yeah, I mean, they're already brushing the dude's teeth for him.
Yeah.
They're waking him up. He is the grandfather.
Yeah, totally. But it's still like he's such a fun. I mean, I guess they do use him well enough, like especially when they kill Nick, because they're all just so sad for Nick. Like, oh no, Peter got him, the poor guy.
Just even that chase sequence, like
Oh, that chase was so good.
it was amazing, and
It was such a horror. It was the only part of this movie that really felt like a horror movie.
it was scary, but it was so absurd in moments and funny that it was just like I couldn't decide what to feel in any given moment in that scene, and it was great for it.
When Deacon comes out of the guy's backpack.
It's kind of like watching a cat when they get a squirrel or something, and it's still alive, and they're tossing it in the air, and they're just not going to kill it quite yet.
The music for that whole chase scene was amazing.
Yeah.
Because it would stop, and then the arm would come out of the backpack and be like, "Tuk, tuk, 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 tuk," and I'm just like dying.
I was fascinated with that backpack thing. We're trying to figure out like how they did that. That was so cool.
You can kind of see it in one shot.
Yeah.
Like
helpful
right
that
when he
there's
turns
just a
away, you can kind
spotlight
of
on
see
it.
that there's a whole person behind him. So you just very briefly, I played it in slow motion like 3 times. So I'm trying to figure it out. They did what they could. The other guy. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say they did a lot of really cool things, like camera wise. Again, that spinny room thing. One thing that fascinated me so much was watching in the scene where they had the fight and the room was turning, so they looked like they were flying, but they still. Obviously, the camera in those things is mounted, but it still shook. So they still had it look like it was handheld, and I was just sort of like, that's so great that they still managed to make it feel handheld, even though the camera has to be mounted like to the floor. There's probably somebody strapped, to next to it, just like shaking it. That was really cool.
I'm wondering too how much of it is the fact that they really goofed and just didn't see all these editing errors, or how many of them were left in intentionally in like an Evil Dead-esque type thing where it's so corny and low budget that they want you to see it and it's so bad that it's good.
I'm kind of torn on that because I don't know, because I haven't seen a lot of his other stuff, but like he's a very well put together director. Like he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. So I like to believe that because maybe it's just the budget, he knew there'd be mistakes and just decided to roll with it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I feel like he'd be a little bit more meticulous. Like he seems like the sort of guy where like he's funny by design. So like it needs to be perfect for him to be funny.
That's true.
So I think it could be like very intentional mistakes, but I mean it could go one way or the other because like I've seen him interviewed a bunch of times. He's fucking hilarious just as a person. So it really could go either way. But I mean either way, we got what we got. It turned out.
Really
but
good.
It's interesting to kind of try to figure out where their heads were when they made it.
And that's the end of the episode. All right, bye everybody.
Did I just inhale weird?
No, you were giving me a weird look.
Why do people keep saying that lately?
You keep giving people weird looks.
I was getting that at work all week.
Stop looking at people weird.
I'm sorry.
You looked like you wanted to say something. You were doing one
You
of these.
did.
See? You pause when I do it, right? Yeah. This is great podcasting.
Yeah.
Now for the video portion, which you can find nowhere.
Or CHEWIE just gives you looks.
Actually,
YouTube
that'd be a
series.
great idea for a video series
Yeah,
on our
CHEWIE
site.
gives you looks.
Just CHEWIE gives you looks.
We could do my version of
You could do face.
Buzz Aldrin listening to Trump talk, where you guys play the speeches for me, and you just see the anguish.
You
on my
could
face.
do a whole video review just looking at like doing looks and see if we can figure out what you think of the movie based off your looks.
Like, we could just find out that CHEWIE did not like that idea based on her look.
Terrible idea.
Call this segment the Chew Out.
Yeah.
Now we have to do
That's
it.
perfect.
Now we have to do it.
Anyhow, what we do in the shadows. I want to talk a little bit about their friend Stu, because I think that's really where this movie gets its heart.
Oh, Stu is so great. He's a good guy.
So if you didn't catch it in the breakdown, Stu is basically a human friend who Nick was friends with before he got turned into a vampire, who comes into the house and he's like, wow, you guys are really behind the times, but he's so polite and sweet, but he wants to teach the vampires about current times. And that just opens up like a world of possibilities for this guys, and it just becomes hilarious. And it leads to what is often the most quoted line in the whole movie, which I don't want to steal from somebody, but I'm going to anyways. So it's when they're talking about the internet, and like Jemaine has been very depressed.
Okay,
and
fine.
He's staring at his computer. He's like, leave me to do my dark bidding on the internet.
Thanks, honey.
Yep.
I'm bidding on a table.
That's kind of what's great and so
Now
enjoyable
I have
about this
to do
movie.
that thing you hate.
You have time.
Yeah, like this movie goes, like it just goes there. Kind of just takes those jokes and kind of goes to the more like absurd conclusion to him.
But like the thing that I'm saying, like the thing that I like about it is the movie does a great job of what could very well be what happens like with a lot of these like low budget movies, especially like with like comedy troupes, is that you end up with a movie that's a series of sketches and not a whole movie. And you can see the glimmers of that in this movie. Like you can have like the roommates, then you have the internet, like the modern thing, then you have the dance at the end. Like it's kind of a series of events, but it's told so well that it kind of still works.
And I think it's a testament to the director. He is so earnest in the very beginning of the movie, and this movie gets played so earnestly in its absurdism and funny elements that it's like there's heart in that, and it keeps it from falling into that sketch thing. Whereas like I generally don't warm to the sketch thing. If it's just a series of sketches, I get bored about halfway through. Even if it's funny, I'm like, well, let me maybe play a game while I'm watching this, or read a book while I'm watching it. Or, like I get bored, and this just didn't happen.
Well, and I love how, in one hand, they stay true to each vampire's character. Dracula's kind of like the sexy, like, ladies' man type thing. There's the dapper, which is very prim and proper. There's the, Peter, who's Nosferatu.
Nick is Twilight.
Well, that's the thing. Is Nick?
At least he likes to believe he is.
Nick's the newcomer, so he's trying to pick up the girls, and he's like, Twilight! Yeah, I'm the main guy from Twilight!
I love that, by the way, where he was like, oh, I'm a vampire. And that guy's like, yeah, I'm a vampire hunter. And then he turns out to be a vampire hunter. That was so great.
I just love how dismissive he is. Like, yeah, sure you are. Bye.
Yeah. And that guy's like, oh, okay.
He's young and ignorant.
He's definitely both of those.
I like where he knows it, too. He's like, yeah, they like Stu better than they like me, I think.
Well, I love the entire montage of Nick just like, I'm a vampire. How many people told a vampire? Not that many. I'm a vampire. He's just so proud of it. And then he tries to eat a potato chip, and that's the end of him being proud of being a vampire.
I would be very upset too. If
I
couldn't eat French fries, I would be devastated.
That was a moment I laughed a lot at, because I was like hoping for something and got more than I hoped for. Because like, you ate the chip, you're not supposed to eat the chip. I'm like, well, what's going to happen? He's just going to feel a little. Oh, he's spewing. This is great.
There's something about projectile vomit that just makes me laugh in any movie. Like, and this one does it very well. But like this one, like when we did Why Don't You Play in Hell a few weeks ago, like I love projectile vomit. It's very funny, especially when it's full of blood. Poor Nick.
So when we watch 28 Days Later, are you just going to be laughing the whole time?
What about The Exorcist?
That one's not as funny. But it still does make me chuckle a little bit.
But 28 Days Later is.
Yeah, that one's still pretty funny. I like Blood Puke.
Ugh.
Oh, it's a sweet name for a song.
Blood Puke?
Yeah.
Or just a band name.
Yeah, that's better.
So nobody caught my Metalocalypse
No.
reference. Got it.
I don't watch stuff. What are you talking about?
The deep cuts.
Such a good show. What else have we talked about? I feel there's so much to talk about in this movie, and all we're just doing is saying how much we love it. Which
The
is
Masquerade. Yeah?
yeah, Masquerade.
And the reveal of the beast, which I was not expecting.
Yeah.
If they had a bigger budget, I think the Masquerade would have actually been more masquerade-y.
No, I like this.
that
I
they
like
kept
the
it
level of lame
Where
Masquerade.
it looks kind of like a homecoming dance.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it's supposed to be,
Vampires.
is like a high school homecoming.
I mean, they even have like the queen or king of the dance. Like it's totally just a high school dance. I think it's perfect. If it was more masqueradian, elaborate, it wouldn't have fit the tone of the movie.
That's true.
It just they added a level of kind of sad to it that I think really enhanced the humor.
Yeah, and I love the zombie asking Stu. I'm sorry. Are you pre-deceased?
Yeah.
I loved his inner turmoil of the moaning and the hands up. He's just like, no, I'm not going to do it.
He's talking to the other
Less
zombies like,
moaning,
stop it, guys. But there's just like so many little layers like in that Masquerade that this is like glimmers to like other aspects of this world that like it kind of. I had read online when the movie came out, because I didn't get a chance to see it in theaters because it was such a short run because it just didn't have a lot of money, that it would have made a better movie than it did. Oh, a better TV show than it did a movie. And I've heard that complaint from a lot of people who don't like the movie very much, which is not a lot of people. Like, you say you're watching this movie and people are like, yeah, fuck yes, that movie's great. But there are a bunch that say that like there's just so many like threads that you can pull that would be more interesting than just an hour and a half or hour 45, however long it is movie. And there's part of me that kind of agrees with them, because there is so much there that would be like I would tune in every week to watch it. Like I would love to watch these guys together on a weekly basis because their chemistry is just so good, and they've made such an interesting world that's funny and fucked up and brutal, but it's awesome. And you only get such a small glimmer of it.
I mean, I think it would be I think they did it right by starting off with a movie. I think it'd be a good like spin-off series.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it had to be the footwork had to be put down with a full-length feature.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be just continue on through what's happened past the Masquerade, what's happened since Peter's now been dead for a while.
And I'm fine with it being a movie because what everyone keeps complaining about is we don't get very many original scripts these days.
That's very, and this one is.
So,
I mean, it's very original.
It's completely original. It has no ties to anything else, and I really enjoyed that. I want more movies like this.
And I'm fine wanting more of them and their hooks and not having it. Like, I think for me, the TV show would be fine, but it would ultimately fall like under the like Office for me, or things where it's like as it keeps going and just keeps going, you're just like, it's lesser for having so much more of it. And that's kind of the tack I'm taking with, like, I kind of like that I've only got the movie.
At the same time, I could totally see this being turned into episodes. I mean, when the cops come in and like are checking their house out.
Look at that.
Yeah.
You've got
Actually, if you were going to do a TV series, if you're going to do a cops version of them constantly going into these demonic things that's happening in New
That would be
Zealand and just
hilarious.
not understanding what they're seeing, I'd watch the hell out of that.
I mean, it'd be a great little mini run.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
love-
I'd
I
watch like a
just-
6-episode stint
Yeah.
of that for
I
sure.
love her interviews about like what she's investigating, and then when they bring in that dog and be like, "And this is one of the culprits. How dare you?"
I
the
love
way
when
you
the
did.
cops are walking around and they keep playing that gag of, "Wait, what's this?"
yeah.
I'd watch
They
the
do it a
cops.
lot, and it never gets old.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I liked that joke so much that I watched it so many times in this movie, and it was like I loved it each
it's
time
so-
equally.
And I just love the we should kill the cops. Yeah, or we could let them point out more safety problems. So they may kill them. Like, I was trying to think like, if they were to do if they do the sequel, if they do make werewolves, which who knows, after Thor, this guy might blow up to a point where he doesn't want to go back to it. Who knows? I hope he does. But if not, I kind of hope they could do an entire franchise of just different parts of the world and really never go back to the vampires, and I'd be totally fine with that. So
That's the shared universe I'd watch.
Oh,
Yeah,
that would
I
also
mean,
be a good frame
Part
for
of
the show.
me hopes that they do an entire movie on the wolves, but they still have that encounter in the park where it's like a little street battle.
oh, that'd be awesome.
At least just
Well,
as
they're
kind of
friends
like
now, though.
yeah, but just as
For how
almost like
long?
a flashback to see, the wolves' lives leading up to that encounter and then going off their separate ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd almost like watch like a parallel movie sort of
Yeah.
thing, and that's like the one part where they intersect. I would totally watch
I'd
the hell
watch
out of that.
too,
Yeah.
Basically, what we're saying is we would watch any version of this.
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's the only, and I'd even watch like the love story of Jemaine and the Beast. Like I would watch all this stuff. Like they did such a good job making me want more of this world. I kind of hate them for it.
How dare you make me want to watch more?
Good original content.
Ugh, you jerks.
Yeah,
I love that he made the old lady a vampire in the end.
that was so good.
He's a cradle robber.
Yeah, I know. That was so cute that that's how he saw it. He never stopped loving her. That was great. Like, when he looked at her, you could tell he didn't see an old lady. He still saw the girl that he loved because he doesn't care, like, what she looks like. It's great.
Trying to think of other things we haven't mentioned. We haven't been talking that long. We've only been talking about half an hour.
It's a pretty simple movie.
It is.
I'm gonna try to think of something I don't like.
I just want to go through it and just be like, I like this, I like this. I
Yeah,
like
no,
this.
that's what everyone like. You bring it up, and that's what you get from everybody. It's like, oh, I love that movie. I love this part
I-
and this part and this part.
I will say the only thing, the complaint that I have really is that there were parts where it was kind of predictable. I mean, like you knew Jemaine was going to show up to the masquerade. You knew, I mean, like I don't know about you guys, but I knew Stu was going to turn up and be a werewolf. It was, it's not necessarily it makes the movie any less awesome, but it was, it was like, yeah, that's kind of what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, it's not at like it's not like the detriment of the movie. Like it's not really a problem.
Yeah.
It still works even when you can kind of guess what's going on. In fact, almost to its better, I want to say, because it's kind of like it rewards you for being there, like for like investing in it and kind of like hoping these things are going to happen. Then it happens. It's like, oh, good.
Well, it's for all these horror films that we've been watching. It kind of rewards us. It's like a reward for watching all these, kind of having that language of like, the Nosferatu, Dracula, all
Yeah.
these movies, and you've seen all those. And then like how these are playing with those particular tropes is really fun.
Well, I mean, this movie really rewards you for being a fan of vampires. Like, if you've been a fan of vampire lore for forever or whatever, like this really rewards that.
Well, and what I love about it too is that it might not give the how do I want to put this? The main consensus of answers to some of the vampire questions.
Yeah.
But I guess this would leave it into one of my favorite quotes from it. No one's ever really established why vampires drink virgin blood. And Vladislav gives the best explanation ever. He basically just says, if you're going to eat a sandwich, you would much enjoy it more if no one had fucked it.
I think we just stole Chewie's second quote.
Oh no!
If looks could kill, we'd all be undead.
Chewie's.
I just got the Chewie look.
Yeah, you did.
Oh.
I got the chew out.
Now I really,
Sounds so sexual.
I really want to figure out
does
what her
now.
next quote is and ruin it again. It's gonna be great.
Sort of like that stint how you pick Neverending Story a few times.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm usually pretty good at trying to guess what she's gonna pick for the review system and then ruining it for her. The basis of a good marriage: ruining things for each other.
We know each other too well.
We haven't talked about The Familiar.
Both familiars are fantastic.
What's the other one?
The old guy
Oh,
that's
the
been
poor
waiting
old
the
guy.
whole time.
Oh, yeah.
I wasted my whole life.
And then he just like was like, oh, nope, walking off from that. Not gonna deal with that.
It's an interesting take and kind of a fun way to kind of put a modern spin on it.
I mean, she's just a housewife. She wants to live forever.
Yeah, and like it kind of reminded me. I don't know if they're gonna do this in Preacher, but it really reminded me of there's a time where Cassidy meets another vampire for the first time. He's so excited to meet him, and that guy just has a bunch of familiars that he's just basically using and then forgetting about. And this movie kind of did the same sort of thing, where it's like, yeah, she's just kind of my slave.
Yeah.
But I love that in the end she gets rewarded and then makes her husband her slave.
That was
Was
perfect.
so great. And he's like, yeah, okay. And he's like taking notes and the treatment really seriously. It's
And
great.
she's just so like she's so brutal. Like, all right, I love you, but I'm your master. I get it.
And then she just beams at the end. It's like, I kind of got what I wanted. It's so great.
yeah,
I mean, it's the flip on going from a housewife to being the master.
yeah, it's
You can see that.
yeah, it works.
I was just thinking about BDSM community. It's
Oh,
like, it's kind of the same situation now. It's consensual, like, slavery.
Yeah, and he seems totally fine
He
with
seems
it.
totally fine with
I
it.
would have enjoyed a little like clip between her and her kids. Be like, "Mommy's the undead now."
Oh god, there'd just be like one of those like, "Hey, it's Christmas morning. Wake up, mom." Oops.
Oh, yeah, you'd have to be super careful with kids around.
Yeah.
There's a fun gag in the Minions movie where they do that.
Well, this is when you tint all of the windows in the
Right.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. You know, vampire-proof your house. What else? I feel like I keep saying, what else have we talked about? Because I feel like we're just like scatterbrained all over this thing. But it's
Well, I mean, this one's kind of hard to do a long discussion on because there's so many one-liners that you don't really want to give away to someone that hasn't seen it yet.
okay. Well, here, let's do that then. How
then-
would you pitch this to somebody who's never seen it without spoiling it? That's something we haven't done on the show in a long
Reese
time.
Darby's in it.
I mean, honestly, just vampire movie meets Animal House.
Okay. Chewie, how would you pitch this to somebody you've never seen it before?
I don't think Animal House.
I could see it. It's definitely there.
I mean, it's a group of guys who are awkward and think that they're really sexy and confident and not awkward, and they turn out to be vampires, and it's like their daily life. And it's always fun to see a guy that's overly confident and not really what he thinks he is. I mean, it's kind of fun with any character, honestly. It's fun to watch buffoonery.
Sure.
This movie's a lot of buffoonery, but with like a cool goth overlay, and if you enjoy that.
Yeah.
All right, I revoke what I said before. Not Animal House. Dracula meets Superbad.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
buffoonery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of in a similar vein, it's Parks and Rec with vampires.
Yeah,
It's basically Andy from Parks and Rec with vampires.
Oh, my God. I want to see that,
Andy
too.
would be an adorable vampire.
He would.
And, April would be a perfect vampire.
Yeah.
Basically already is one. So I'm trying to think, because I just tried to pitch this to a friend of the show, Tracy, who has not been on in a very long time. But I was trying to get her and her husband to watch it because she's like, yeah, I never heard of it. I'm like, okay, you need to watch this movie. And I think I basically just said it's for fans of vampires. If you've ever been a fan of vampires and you want to see it turn on its head in a very enjoyable way, this is like the perfect movie for you. And I think that's pretty close.
Yeah.
Because like, you can start diving into quotes, which I did with her. So you kind of like, but it's tough because you don't want to spoil anything in the movie because it's so good. But you need to watch it like I want to say 2-3 times to actually get all the lines because they're just like one a second. They're just constantly on top of each other.
Yeah, the writing is really good.
And that's my so do you? I never looked into the behind the scenes too much. It's one of those ones where like I don't want to like ruin the image of the movie in my head. Do we know about the script? Was it entirely scripted? Was it improv? Does anybody know? Because I know Jemaine Clement likes to improv, and he's
Yeah, I was
very
gonna say,
good at
I
it.
can't say for sure, but I would guess that a lot of it's improv.
Yeah, it feels like it was a lot of kind of like Curb almost of like this is what the scene's about. Here are your lines, and then people just kind of built upon that.
It is easier to shoot a documentary style project like that if there's at least some improv in it, I would think.
Yeah,
Well, and there's a few scenes where Viago, when they're doing the flat meeting, if you look at his face, you can tell that he's trying so hard to remain composure, but just wants to lose it.
I mean it's not just that scene. Like you can see it on all. Like if you try to pay attention to the people who aren't talking, you can see a lot of times them just like don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh. And it seems like it's one of those movies where, like, I've always heard, we used to talk about it all the time on the show, like, The Kiss of Death as a movie is a movie that anyone ever went, we had so much fun making it. It's like, oh, then the movie usually sucks. This one feels like it would be the counter to that rule. Because you can just see they had a blast making this thing. But at the same time...
They also probably never said they had fun making it.
I'm sure it was a shit ton of work.
Yeah.
And it was just a lot of fun when the cameras were rolling. But whenever it was behind the scenes and trying to figure out how to make this work with the money they had, I'm sure it was brutal.
Yeah.
And even to get it into America, they had to do a whole online campaign. They did, I think it was almost a Kickstarter or something like that, where they had to you had to request it to be shown in your city. Like it didn't make it over here very easily.
Right.
So
Well, it's got that thing where it's got a lot of really funny comedians that have accents, which turns off a lot of people, and none of them are particularly classically pretty.
yeah,
They're all a little gross looking at times.
Yeah.
Well, they were vampires. They were hot.
But I mean, think of the American kind of counterpart to that comedy troupe who did movies like Best in Show. I thought that was terrible, but that did really, really well in theaters.
Americans are a little more accepting of British people.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I feel like
Fuck people
This-
from New Zealand, though, right?
I mean,
was like, he's
they're
not a
usually
hobbit.
made fun of and called Kiwis. So.
Yeah. But I feel like
Play
this
the
one
Concord.
would have done so much better if it had been just brought out to a broader audience. And
Yeah.
had the same kind of publicity that like Best in Show or anything of that line would have.
Yeah, and it really just came down to people were, for some reason, it felt like a movie that people were afraid to spend money on marketing on. And I don't get it, because there's so much in this, and especially Reese Darby and Jermaine Clement, they'd done Fly the Conchords, which was fucking huge for HBO. They still can't do tours without it selling out instantly. So I was kind of surprised they didn't try to ride that a little bit more.
I think a lot of it was almost the timing, though.
Yeah.
When this was released and made, it was right around that same time as Twilight.
Yeah.
So they knew all the little teeny boppers were going to be going for that. And this was more on the adult side, even though it was lighthearted comedy. So trying to push another vampire subject matter out at the same time as Twilight was almost like suicide.
Yeah.
Especially since Twilight was all about soap opera romance,
Yeah.
and this is not.
Very much not. No, it would have required a lot of money on marketing, a lot. And they clearly just didn't want to spend it, or they didn't think it would make it back. But this movie has such a following now. I feel like it would have killed if they'd spent the money on it.
And it's also, I mean, there's more to it being the time that it was released too than I think we probably give it credit for. Just because I mean, I was the same way. I was like, oh, a movie about vampires making fun of vampires, yeah, and F that. It's even though the marketing is this seems funny, but it's vampire. Oh, there's a burnout, and then
I'm so surprised you had that reaction. I watched the trailer once when I need this movie in my life.
Pretty much.
I heard Jemaine Clement on, I think he was on the Nerdist podcast, and that's how I knew about the movie. But then it wasn't playing anywhere. So
It played in
was just
one theater in LA.
Yeah, so it was
tough to
oh, that
find.
movie. I thought it sounded awesome, and I was like, that sounds really good. I'd like to see it. And then I was like, oh, how do you see it? You don't.
I pretty much will see anything with Jermaine in it.
Yeah.
I even saw Shark versus Eagle or Eagle
versus Shark, yeah.
And I enjoyed that. It's so much different than this.
Oh,
So much different than this movie.
The sense of humor is very dry in that movie.
But it's the same director, so it's just so weird.
Was it the same director?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, then I've seen more of his
wow.
movies than I thought.
Yeah.
But no,
At
that
least I
movie,
remember IMDb telling me it was the same director.
he might be involved. I didn't think he directed it, though.
Let me
But,
double check. Let me get my facts.
yeah, so somebody's not screaming in the car. No, we didn't. No, we did not. Podcast is wrong.
Get ready for the chew out.
Yeah.
I mean, it was embarrassing when we got called out by the director of
Yeah,
21 Cloverfield.
That was a big fuck up.
10 Cloverfield Lane, not 21.
10. Sorry.
Good Lord.
Oh
He's
my
going to yell at
God.
us again.
Hey, if he still listens to our podcast, amazing.
That's pretty awesome.
If he does, yeah, hello.
And he only made fun of one thing for us, and that's because we said his sister is somebody that it wasn't.
Well,
Yeah.
Screw them for having the same last name.
Oh wow.
Jesus.
Throwing
Chewie.
shade.
Yeah.
Dan
that was
Trachtenberg
supposed
getting
to
the
be
chew
funny.
out.
Fine, cut that out if that wasn't funny.
No, it's very funny now.
Cut that out with a knife.
We're going to wait for her to get this one fact, and then we're going to move into quotes.
Yes, director, yes.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so it's time for quotes. Chewie, do you want to go first? Is that a no?
You got chewed
I mean,
out.
fine. I'll
You need a sound
I'll
effect
do
for
the
that.
biggest
You
one.
got chewed out.
I'll do
Bam, 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 bam.
Shut up, guys.
Hold on.
Shut,
I actually,
shut up.
I have that. I actually have that app.
No, don't do it now. She's going to kill you.
The chewed out app.
Yeah.
No, the horn app.
Don't do the horn app.
Well, we are wolves, not swear wolves.
It's werewolf.
Werewolves, not swear wolves. There.
It's a great line.
Werewolves, not swearwolves.
It's funny.
I'm going to go with one that's a Jemaine Clement line, but it needs a bit of setup. It's when Biago is setting it up. He's like, well, he's an older vampire, so he has some old ideas about things. And it smash cuts to Jemaine going, we should get some slaves.
Where did those women in his bedroom go? By the way, at the very beginning.
It's an excellent question.
That's such a great moment to
Dracula.
Dracula. I love that moment.
This movie's just chock full of them.
So good. I love everything. I love Rhys Darby so much, guys, so much, and he's great in this, even though he's not in it very much. And there's that whole moment when he's talking about like what they're gonna wear, like you're supposed to wear a tracksuit, you know, like, and then people wearing jeans, and he's like really worried that they're gonna lose their pants, and then later on they show up and he's the only one wearing pants. but my quote is when like I forget who is it Jemaine that shows up in the fur, and then he's just like, oh, you want fur, and then he yells out, don't look at the 5-1. Get back to your trees.
He's so concerned about their clothing. Take off all the clothes you want to keep.
As they're changing.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
That's his
then
priority.
but then there's that scene like where it's like you're on a small tree. Get to a different tree.
That looks like a brunch, man.
Oh, I wanted to do another one just because we didn't really.
we have to let the other people go first in case we steal theirs.
I'll let the guest.
Mine's probably when Vladislav's talking about becoming a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
And he just simply says, I became a vampire when I was 16. That's why I will always look 16. In those days, of course, life was very hard for a 16-year-old.
Because that was the other one I was going to do. But like, what I loved about that is that before the credits even rolled. Like, it was already so funny.
I think mine was pre-credits too, wasn't it? I think it is.
The credits were kind of far in.
Yeah, they're kind of far
they
in.
were,
Yeah.
they were. That's true.
Yeah, no, because I was like, wait, we're at credits still?
Yeah.
I'm already laughing. This is.
Well, what is this? The Departed?
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
I like the one at the masquerade with our Pauline the Beast is like, are you a demon? And Viago's like, no, he's not the demon. And Stu is like, I'm a software analyst. Just his understated side.
He's a virgin.
I'm a software. But what'd you say? Virgin. They're all so excited. All right, so review system. Oof, this one's tough. I've been trying to think of a good one for a while, and I came up with something that's going to be upsetting to people, I think, because it's going to be difficult.
Oh.
Documentaries/mockumentaries. Any and all work. It was just going to be mockumentaries, but that's very difficult, so I threw in documentaries as well, which is not much easier.
I've actually got one.
Oh.
Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Okay.
Kirsten Dunst, the Minnesota beauty contest one. Very similar in some like just fun moments.
Yeah, that definitely works. Shit, I just had one, now I lost it. Oh, fuck it, I'll go for Waiting for Guffman. Waiting for Guffman, just because it's kind of a similar thing where it's like a group of people that should not be able to get along or work together, and they all put on this like very terrible play. But it's very funny, just kind of like it's similar in the way of like it could be a collection of like short sketches, but it strings out into one very well put together movie that's fucking hysterical. I'm gonna go home and bite my pillow. Fucking love that movie.
District 9.
Okay.
Oh.
Where it's got kind of a simple story, and there's lots of effects and prosthetics and about people trying to live their lives, and ends up being a very good movie.
Yeah.
This one has a little bit more positive ending.
Yeah, District 9 is a very bleak ending.
District 9 is a very bleak movie, and all the like bleakness that vampires should have, like for the level of like joy we have with vampires in this one, it is matched by the bleakness in District 9.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess in that sense, I have one.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have seen it. Didn't do all that well in the box office. It was called Hamlet 2.
I wanted to see it.
I never got around to it. I really wanted to see it.
So it's all about a high school drama teacher trying to put on Hamlet 2, and its main song throughout the movie is Rock Me Sexy Jesus.
Nice.
I really need to see that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, I've heard that. I just never got around to it.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to teach drama and all this to all these like cholo and kind of gangbanger kids. None of them are listening to him, and in the middle of nowhere, they're all talking, and he says, "Shut up, you bastards!" And all these kids just look at him like, "Who the fuck do you think you are?"
I got Borat, Cultural Learnings of America for Make Benefit Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan, which is the full title of the movie. Because in 2017, Borat would be like just a normal person.
Yeah, he could be president.
Yeah, he could be president. but it really he does such a great job of like mocking, sexism and homophobia and racism and all that stuff, and just creating this character who's just abhorrent, but at the same time like kind of lovable in a weird way. But what's great is you get to watch him interact with real people who don't know that he's fake, and that's kind of horrifying because they just respond to his racism with more racism.
No, I mean, Sacha Baron Cohen's a comedic genius, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There was one, I don't remember if this was in the movie or if it was on his show, but at one point he was Borat and he was drinking wine at a plantation or something, and he got really drunk and passed out. And the whole crew was like so worried that he was going to wake up and forget that he was supposed to be in character. And he woke up and didn't even miss a beat. He woke up as Borat.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. His movie, The Dictator's pretty good too.
I loved what's his name, Jason Mantzoukas in that. He's so
Jason
fucking
Mantzoukas
funny in
is
that
great
movie.
in everything.
He is, but
On Brooklyn Nine-Nine, that was just the best. I loved him on that.
I love
so sad you
Brooklyn
have to speak in
Nine-Nine.
past tense about that.
You don't want him on the show anymore?
No, he's done with it, isn't he?
Wait,
Oh,
what?
you just said you were happy about it.
No,
You
I said
don't
it's sad you have to say past tense.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
No,
he's...
I love Jason Mantzoukas. All right, so that brings today's episode to a close. Applause, applause, applause. Next week, we have a movie that I was going to do in October, but then I realized I want to do horror movies all October, so this one had to wait. We're doing Baby Driver.
Ooh.
Nice.
That one should have quite a bit to say, because it is both very good and very meh. But we'll talk about that next week. And then after that, we are doing... This is going to be tough to find, for one, and not very good for two. But it is part of our ongoing series. We got to do the second movie ever to win Best Picture, and it's called The Broadway Melody. And I've been warned by everybody that is one of the worst movies ever to win Best Picture. So I'm very excited to watch that. It should be a very good discussion.
It will be a journey.
It will be a journey.
Back in time.
Yeah, it's got a mixture of black and white and color, and apparently the music's terrible, and I'm so excited to watch it.
Wait, it's black and white and color?
And color. There's parts of color.
There's a lot of playing
was
with
one of
color and
those-
technique back then on the frame.
So, like
Probably
Wizard
why
of
it won
Oz.
the
Yeah.
Academy Award.
I heard
But
it
no,
was
Wizard
one
of
of
Oz
those
was primarily
transitional
color.
films.
This one just goes back and forth.
Well, because even with Wings, there was all that coloring on the flames. Like everyone was really into coloring their frame. Their
Wings
frame.
was fucking great, though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was.
I'm excited to watch this one and see the stark comparison.
stark opposite. Yeah.
Okay, so you can find us, www.athpod.com, where you can find pretty much everything with our show, including our game of Tip of My Brain, which I need to pull some more photos for.
And our new feature, Chewed Out.
Yeah, and our
featuring
new-
Chewie.
Featuring Chewie glaring at a camera.
I have a camera. We can do this.
I'm really quite pleasant.
You are. That's why it's so much funnier when you just get mad at people.
Well, it's true. I can be very pleasant, and then when I get mad at you, you also really know it.
Yeah, you are aware that Chewie is mad at you.
Wow. This is. It's a great idea. We should do it.
And give Zach no credit for it. Agreed? Agreed.
You heard it here first. No credit.
And then be sure to check out our Spotify playlists, which are coming out every week. We might need to figure out a better way to start storing them, because I've gotten some complaints that they want to hear the ones from past, and the big pool of all of them is not good enough for people. So we might try to figure out a way to do that for you.
Yeah.
If that's something that more people want, please reach out to us and let us know, and we'll start figuring out a way to do that because the weekly subscription thing also works. If you subscribe to our podcast or subscribe to our playlist once every Friday, it changes out to the new theme for the week, which currently, if you're listening to this today, is still stormy weather from last week's Geostorm.
Geostorm, guys. Geostorm.
And then starting tomorrow is Monsters, which I picked some pretty great ones.
Oh,
including-
you already did it?
Oh, yeah. I did it the second Ryan told me
Do
the
it
theme.
yet.
Like, immediately.
Did you pick Monster Mash?
I did.
Okay.
Because I knew somebody else would take it if I didn't. So that's
Oh
as
yeah, I
soon
was
as-
gonna go home and do that.
Yeah, as soon as Ryan told me the theme was Monsters, I'm like, all right, cool, Monster Mash. Mine.
I think every time we've come across something like that, someone's picked it.
Yeah, someone's
We
got a
probably
race for
need
it.
to end this episode now.
Oh, really?
Bye.
Bye.